Chess is a game of strategy, memory and forward thinking. It is widespread, recognizable, and transcends race, gender, income, and politics. It possesses the aura of an intellectual pursuit, and yet its rules are easy to learn, its benefits easy to underestimate, and its play intense and rewarding. In this video, we shall look into its history, how the game is played, and which pieces do what. Where did chess come from, and when was it invented? Well, the origins of chess are obscure, but certainly old, reaching back as far as the 7th century. Arabic texts dating from around the mid-9th century point towards India, and indeed there existed in India a game called Chaturanga that utilized pieces classed as infantry, cavalry, chariots, and elephants, just as modern chess utilizes pawns, knights, rooks, and bishops. A similar game seems to have developed in China during the 6th century, and archaeological finds along the Silk Road have included chess pieces. Earlier games very similar to chess developed in Persia at around the year 600, a few decades before the Islamic conquest. The modern form of chess developed after the arrival of its pre-modern version in southern Europe in the 9th and 10th centuries, helped along, we can suppose, by the Islamic conquest of Spain and the movement of troops and merchants between East and West. So, how is chess played? How, and in what direction, do the chess pieces move? Which chess pieces do what? Chess is a board game, played by two players known as black and white based on the colour of their pieces. The board is square and checked, with 8 squares each side making 64 squares. Each player has 16 pieces, 8 pawns on their front row and 2 rooks or castles, 2 knights, 2 bishops, a queen, and a king on their back row. It is through the clever and strategic use of these pieces that the players attempt to capture their opponent's king. Whilst it is a convention to refer to the two sides as white and black, it is not necessarily the case the pieces must be differentiated from one another by those particular colours, or colours at all. There are themed chess sets, such as the Lord of the Rings, with hobbits, elves, dwarfs, and the fellowship of Frodo, Gandalf, Galadriel, and Aragorn on one side, and Sauron, Saruman, and Orcs aplenty on the other. There is a Star Trek themed chess set, with Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and the Starship Enterprise on the white side of the board, and dastardly Klingons standing in as their opponents. The point is that there are 2 sides, and whichever side takes the part of white always makes the first move. A typical game of chess can be divided into 3 parts: opening, middle game, and end game. White always opens the game, and they use either a pawn or a knight, these being the only pieces free to make any move at the start of the game. The middle game is the heart of the game, full of tactics and strategy. Pieces are captured, the kings are threatened, and perhaps a pawn or 2 is promoted. By the end game, the board is less populated as many pieces on both sides have been captured. The 2 kings and a handful of pieces remain, and the end is not far away, whether it is checkmate, a draw, or a resignation. Some of the most asked questions about chess concern the pieces. Which chess pieces can move backwards? Which pieces can jump? Which piece is the king? This is the king. The objective of the game is to capture the king, which is known as checkmate. If the king finds himself in the sights of an opponent's piece, then he is in check, and must get himself out of check. If he cannot do so, then it is checkmate and the game is over. The king can move in any direction, diagonally like a bishop, horizontally and vertically like a rook, backwards and forwards. But he can only move 1 square at a time. He cannot jump over any pieces. The queen, like the king, can move in any direction, diagonally, horizontally and vertically, backwards and forwards, but cannot jump over pieces. But this is where the similarity ends, for the queen is not limited to one square at a time. She can span the whole board in one move if her path is clear. She is the most capable of the chess pieces. The bishop, of which there are 2 per player, can only move diagonally across the board, but he can also cross the board in one move if his path is clear. Due to the checked nature of the board, one bishop plays on the white squares, whilst the other bishop plays on the black squares, and so between them the bishops can cover the whole board. The knights are the most recognizable of the chess pieces, being horse-shaped, or vaguely horse-shaped like this one. Unlike the other pieces, the knight can jump over other pieces in its way. It is for this reason that the knight shares with the pawns the ability to open the game. It does not move diagonally or laterally, but has an L-shaped movement, 1 square forward and diagonally left or right by 2 squares, or 2 squares forward and diagonally left or right by 1 square. The rooks occupy the corners of the board and move horizontally and vertically, and can cross the full length of the board in one move if there is nothing in their way. They are also capable of a move called castling. This is when a rook and a king change places, allowing the rook to more effectively protect the king. There are rules governing this move. There cannot be other pieces between the king and the rook. The castling must be the first time the king and the rook have moved, and the king must not be in check or in danger of being checked. The final piece is also the most numerous, the pawn. These are effectively the cannon fodder of the game, but they can be very useful, and they can even be promoted. The pawn moves forward 1 square at a time, unless the move is the first move for that particular pawn, in which case it can move 2 squares forward. The pawn cannot go backwards, sideways or diagonally. However, it can capture an opponent's piece if that piece is in the square diagonally to the left or right of it. If the pawn is advancing, and there is another piece directly in its path, then it cannot advance further until that other piece has moved on. If the pawn reaches the other side of the board, it can be promoted to a more capable piece, such as a queen. There's also a move called en passant, in which a pawn can capture an opponent's pawn in passing. This move is only legal if the captured pawn has just made its initial 2 square move, and the capturing pawn is to the left or right of it, and the capture must be made immediately. What is notation? Well, in chess, it is the recording of a game through use of letters and numbers, a useful method for playing chess via correspondence. The simplest and most widespread in modern chess is algebraic notation, in which the squares are given a number for the rank and a letter for the file. For example, ne4 would mean knight, n, to square e4, and rh6 would mean rook to square h6. But until 40 years ago, the more favoured system of notation was descriptive notation, which is the notation most familiar to anyone whose experience of chess lies in its depictions in popular culture, in which a move might be described as queen to queen's bishop 3, for example. A question frequently asked is, will chess make me smarter? The answer is no. Buying quality clothing and indulging in better grooming will make you smarter. But if you mean, will chess make me more intelligent, then the answer is probably yes. The benefits of chess lie in its mental exercise, and there are studies which have found a boost in IQ in those who have taken up the game, particularly if the playing of chess has started at a young age. There's a great deal to recommend the game: improved cognitive function, strategic thought, thinking several moves ahead, and improved memory function. To conclude, in this video we have looked into the history of chess, how the game of chess is played, and which chess pieces do what. We have also briefly looked at the benefits of chess. But chess is a broad subject encompassing chess theory, notation, strategies, and the great matches of the past that include Cold War rivalries and the rise of artificial intelligence. It may be that we shall explore some of these in future videos, but for now, we hope you enjoyed this video.